Hey, this is Elie Barnes, and it is Thursday, December 30th of 2021. And this is my New Year's video for 2022. It's been a while. My hair's grown a lot since I did my last video. That's how I can see how long it's been. And I'm in my new home. I was able to buy this great house in Holy Cross, New Orleans, after living here 8 years and having a house in Florida, but not one here. I was able to do this, and I'm really excited about it. It's an 1895 French farmhouse. It's on a double lot, and I've got all my plants, and I've got my 3 dogs, and my boy, and all the people I love here in New Orleans, and I'm really enjoying my life here. It's really cool. I'm not filming this on my iPad for my YouTube channel, and this is my predictions for 2022, basically for the United States. I had been talking about the United States in terms of quadrants: the northeast, the southeast, the northwest, and the southwest, and sort of delineating what I thought was going to be going on in those areas. I did that last year and the year before, because we had such interesting and tumultuous political activity in the U.S. And of course, we've all been dealing with the coronavirus around the world. Our response and activities with it, of course, are on our mind, because this is where we live. This is what we're doing. So what I want to start with today, what I want to say today too, is I've got several things that I have written down that are going to be videos in the next month on Elie Barnes Psychic YouTube channel, because I've been doing a tremendous amount of readings. This is what I do for a living. I have 1,000 clients, and I read solid 3 days a week at Hex Old World Witchery in the French Quarter of New Orleans. That's where you can find me and book readings if you're interested. But it's really interesting to see the commonalities for people. New Orleans is an international city. We have travelers from around the world coming through all the time. So I'm not just talking to Southerners or Louisianians or New Orleanians people. I'm talking to people around the world. Lately, because of coronavirus, less international foot traffic, but I do a lot of Zoom readings and a lot of phone readings. So I'm still seeing and talking to people from around the world. So I notice a few things that I want to say. Humans are an interesting creature, an interesting animal on the planet, and yes, I look at us as an animal on the planet. And we've got some common difficulties that I've seen lately in 3 main areas of life. First, our love life. This is the thing that, of course, I'm asked the most about. When am I going to meet my right person? How can I meet somebody? Why don't I have my soulmate? What's wrong with me? Why can't I fix this part of my life? How can I do it? Mainly, though, when is it going to happen? And people have very fixed ideas about what their lover or soulmate is going to be like. The second area is our happiness with our work life. I hear a lot of people say, I want to change my job. I don't like what I do for a living, or I don't like who I work for, or it's just not working for me, and I want to do something different, but I'm not sure what. So that's another area where people are really asking me about how can they change jobs? What do they need to do? Where can they go that's going to be better? And in both of these scenarios, with love life and career orientation, people assume that if they can just find the right thing and go for it, they're okay, they've got it, they're fixed. And I find mostly that people don't know what they're asking for and don't even know what to look for at all. So they aren't happy with what they get. They may change partners, they may get a new lover, they may change jobs, and then in a year they're like, call me back, and they're like, I don't like this. And so the third area that I think is really important for humans is what I call our alignment. I'll use the terms psychological and spiritual alignment, and I want to use those very loosely. Everyone has really strong emotional responses to words. We've seen a lot of that in the last 2 years in the U.S. Real strong triggers for what we think is right and true and real, because how we feel about it. I'd like to put a warning out there about your emotions. Watch them, record them, pay attention to them. They are one aspect of your being. They're not more important than maybe intellectual knowledge, spiritual understanding, or physical wellness. They're part of us. They're a component of how we're organized and made. So alignment is, for me, whether we are organized in our being correctly within our own structure. All of us are wired differently. We have different chemistry, different upbringings, different intellectual styles, different emotional responses, different health, different philosophies and religions, no doubt about it. But we are a common type of animal, human being, and we are built and wired in certain ways. Like we could say the domesticated cat is a certain way, the domesticated dog is a certain way, elephants are a certain way, and just sort of group us together like that. But how we're wired, how we're in alignment within ourselves really matters for our experience of our life, our experience of whether we feel successful, happy, balanced, calm, excited and energized about what we're doing, whether we feel at peace or we have a basic feeling of disruption inside of ourselves. And a lot of times these are chemical and electromagnetic. You can notice when you go into a bar or a restaurant that has a lot of activity or people in there that are drinking or otherwise agitated, you might feel a little bit more agitated. You can walk into a beautiful wooded area or a gorgeous cathedral with stained glass windows and people have just finished doing a prayer or a meditation and you feel calm and more relaxed. We are more prone to be in alignment with our exterior world, and we don't tend to pay too much attention to our interior world. So the things I want to talk about in other videos: how to master love life, how to master your career, and how to master yourself. And it will start with mastering yourself. But today, I'm not doing that. Today, I'm going to be giving some predictions for 2022 for the United States. First thing I want to do is just give a message from Spirit. And I don't even know what that means. I don't typically use the word God too much because it's got a lot of emotional responses attached to it. And everyone has a really different definition of it. And of course, the same is true for Spirit. But in my world, the world of the occult and psychic work and witchcraft studies and occult studies, Spirit tends to be a little bit more innocuous. But what do I mean by it really? By the one. If you're a Neoplatonic thinker, the one is what I'm talking about. And how do we are in that. We exist in the one. We exist as part of the one. I think we are all existing and residing in the one. And that is the totality of time and space. All of existence, the entire universe. So message from Spirit. And I guess by saying spirit, I mean that I don't look at it as just a physical entity. It is, however, a physical entity, and it is an electric entity. It is an intellectual entity, maybe emotional. I don't notice a whole lot of emotional content in spirit. Humans translate the information that way because we're highly emotional, because we are highly instinctive. We are highly instinctive, and that is a set of neurons, synapses, and travel pathways inside our body that cause us to react to external stimuli, like run, jump, escape, cower, fight back. You know, it's a basic, constant reaction to the world around us, and it's a survival instinct. It's a survival instinct, and so because we tend to intellectualize everything, we have described all that emotional activity inside our bodies, as our emotions. It is our emotions. All right, first message from Spirit to my friends and clients, the people who watch and follow my work. Anyone new, welcome. Welcome to Elie Barnes Psychic YouTube channel. What is the message today for the people that are thinking about their lives, watching this video, and generally living in the United States? Go above my brain, into the infinite field, finding true and accurate facts and information. Bring that down to us, onto the table, into the reading. The universe is infinite. It contains all information, receiving truth and finding it now in ways we understand comfortably and easily for everyone. It's my basic saying. It's what I do when I'm shuffling. Also, I'm putting myself in alignment. When I'm saying my little mantras, getting ready to receive information psychically, I'm getting myself in alignment. I'm a tool, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm in good shape as a tool, polished and clean, organized and receptive and not judgmental, it's really important for me to stay away from my content judgmentally, because you receive the content in a variety of ways. I usually put down 4 to 6 cards when I'm talking about one subject, and I use the Rider-Waite. Love it that this is the card that's on the back side, Tower and Restructure. The Rider-Waite, the older Rider-Waite decks, they are the original, more sepia tone colors that Pamela Coleman Smith used to paint the paintings that compose the 78 card tarot deck. I don't know why I love tarot so much. I was exposed to it in elementary school. My mother had friends that read tarot, and they came over periodically, and I knew what they were, and I didn't have any until late elementary, maybe the beginning of middle school. I got that Gypsy Witch fortune telling pack at a yard sale, and oh my god, I thought that was the best thing in the universe. And then I realized a little bit later, maybe a couple years, that there was more types of card divination decks, and tarot was the most commonly used. So I bought the Rider-Waite. I was actually gifted the Rider-Waite deck by a very dear long life friend of mine, and so I've done some videos and talking about that. But I buy a new deck every month because I use it so extensively. It breaks and it loses its springiness, and I don't feel that shuffling is facile. So I like to get a new deck every month, and as a consequence, I have a lot of decks that are about a month old, and I periodically give them away or sell them for $5. Okay, first card, King of Wands. This is a person. In fact, there are 3 people in this reading of 4 cards. King of Wands, Page of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles. So as a basic first interpretation, we're going to be talking about events and activities that revolve around these people. And as a general message to us about the U.S., we're going to be thinking about the structures around us and what are the most important activities and events that we are doing and that we notice people doing. King of Wands to me is the entrepreneur. He is a traveler. He's interested in, and he or she, I don't mean to make it a gender. There's the Queen of Wands, but in today's world, let's be a little bit more loose about king and queen and make them more fluid and say they. King of Wands is still going to be a mature, grown person that has mastered a lot of things in their life, and they are well-traveled. They are interested in languages and the arts, music, poetry, writing, painting, sculpting, etc. They're very culturally open. They want to see places in the world. They want to meet the local inhabitants. They want to taste their food and see how they live. They're like cultural anthropologists. They want to go everywhere and see everything, and not too judgmental. They're really open about just exploring and having exposure to new people and new places. Entrepreneurial, because I find them to be, they are ruled by the element fire. They're very active. Their downside tends to be a little bit ADD and attention deficit disordered, where they have trouble sticking to something for a long time. But they're creative and incredibly interested and curious about the world, and they want to go out and make a work life that suits their changing nature. They typically don't want to be sitting down all day, and they certainly don't want to be micromanaged and told what to do all day long. They want to follow their own energy patterns in the best way for a 24-hour period. If they like working at dawn, they get up and work at dawn. If they like to have a slow morning and drink coffee, and later in the day or even evening they hit their stride, that's what they want to do. I think they really honor their nature. And I think that's true. There's a lot of people in the U.S. on the move, so to speak, career-wise, either dropping out of the workforce, stopping work, changing jobs, living in their car, thinking about moving, certainly looking at new work opportunities. So that's our first idea. We're going to be looking at restructuring, and maybe with a more easy, fluid way to our lives. Page of Pentacles. These are the youngest people in the deck. They are typically, I call them age 0 to 20. They are defined as students and people starting something new. This is related to earth and land and job and finances. When I see this card in readings, I say to the person, it's time to think about your longer term investments. What are you doing with your money? What do you own? What kind of portfolio do you have for the future? What do you value, and where do you place your value and your money? It's a time to really start something long term and long planning. I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 years in my readings that I don't think real estate prices are going to go back down in the United States. This is a global commodity. It's like the new Bitcoin. Property in certain states and in certain cities is going up in value every week, and it's harder and harder for new people to buy, and harder to get loans, and harder to afford decent housing in safer neighborhoods in the U.S., cleaner neighborhoods in the U.S. So I associated a lot with starting a new business, buying some land, starting to really focus on the way you value money and the way you want to take care of it long term. It is also a card. He's the only young person page in the deck that has this muscular arm, and I relate it to clean eating and physical activity, working out and eating more organic, natural foods, and thinking about the earth as you consume and live your life. What is in its most natural state? What is most healthy and balanced for us? And it's young people typically studying some new things and figuring out new ways to make money. The sun, love it. Well, probably first of all, I'd like to say global warming. I mean, it's 83 degrees here in New Orleans today, and it's been hot as hell all week. I sweated so much in my booth yesterday, I had to get the fan on just to stop glistening in my booth. So, and I like the sun. I have arthritis. I love the warm temperature. I love living in the South, but the sun's basic idea is health, creativity, travel, freedom, childhood. It has a lot of feelings of when we were kids over the summer and we got to goof off all summer and we were out of school and maybe our parents worked. In my situation, there were 5 grandchildren. We spent summers at my grandparents' house where there was like a cook or a nanny lady working there. And so all the grown-ups worked, but we lived there usually for 3 months, the 5 grandkids, and played and did chores, but played outside in all kinds of ways. We had art and musical things inside, but we had sports and tents, wagons, and clubhouses outside. So the idea of the sun is this feeling of no responsibility, real freedom, and the weight of the world is not on you at the moment. It's a time for exploration, playing, enjoying the outside, going to the beach, going to sunny locations, vacation. It's a really nice feeling. I'm glad to see that for 2022 for us because so many of us are really burnt out and stagnating on the coronavirus years. The 4th card, Knight of Pentacles, is a person, I say, that's aged 20 to 40. They're not quite a king or a queen in terms of their maturity or what they have accomplished, but they're solidly typically done with their schooling and they're making the biggest chunk of their life, like what kind of career they're going to build, the money they make. Do they get married and have children? Do they buy property? Do they become well-traveled? Do they make any kind of professional achievements of note? That's what the Knight is doing. And for people too, Knights turn up as suitors. They show up as people interested in making connections romantically and professionally. So I like that time period. I like what the Knight represents. They are on horses. They are in motion. And the Knight of Pentacles is continuing the work of the page. They've typically decided what they studied in school. They're done with college, or they're done with trade school. And they are strongly making advancements financially. They are grounded, careful, well-mannered, usually a traditional thinker, believing in family and the culture and religion and philosophy they were brought up with. They've decided on those things, typically what they believe and how they want to function in the world. And they are strongly putting one foot in front of the other. They very much have aims and goals in front of them. They know where they're headed. They're not in a huge hurry, but their value is consistency, consistent effort, and making headway physically, professionally, financially, and according to their values, what they want to achieve. So I like that there's a lot of people here, and I like that the sun is the major arcana. It tells me that the year is actually going to be great. It's going to be creative and professionally good. There's going to be a lot of money to be made and new ways to work. Real estate's going to be a prime topic for 2022, and people changing their lifestyle, certainly professions, moving, relocating. Travel will pick back up. I still think we want to watch the basic news on airlines and other places where we're going to try to see how is coronavirus there and how is it where we live and what's the balance there. Car travel, I think, will be really strong for 2022. Okay, so that looks good to me, and I think that everyone really should be thinking about their job and their money, and retirement. Oh, I think it's kind of a weird subject today. In the 80s, when I was in high school, barely, I was mostly in college in the 80s, we talked a lot about retirement and what we were going to do when we retired, and I think that's just a crazy idea now. We don't really talk about it like that, like at 65 we're going to retire. Very few of us probably think about that. You may have had a long-term job with a pension, and in that case you might think about retiring. But even still, you can look at Social Security and general pensions and the cost of living today and realize the two don't add up. You're going to have to figure out how to either live with a lot less money or figure out how to make more sustained long-term money. And for most of us, we think that we're going to keep doing things, working part-time, at least. So I like that. All right, let's look at the U.S. in terms of the coronavirus in 2022. Just how do we think it's going to run its course in 2022 in the United States? Coronavirus. Go above our brains into the infinite field, finding true and accurate facts and information. Bring that down to us, onto the table, into the reading. The universe is infinite. It contains all information. We're seeking truth and finding it now in ways we understand comfortably and easily for my viewers. The coronavirus in 2022 in the U.S. I'm still doing the 4, and I'm talking about them maybe in terms of 4 quadrants: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Time periods, not locations on the map. First card, 2 of Pentacles. It's doubling, okay? The basic message in 2 of Pentacles is being on a budget and handling and balancing your money in more healthy ways. I see it most when people change jobs in readings. That's what I see when the 2 of Pentacles shows up. They're segueing from one way of making a living to another. What do I think about coronavirus? I think it's doubling up. I think it's becoming weaker as what it does to our bodies, but much more contagious, and probably by the end of 2022, 50% of the population will have had coronavirus, and we are moving towards herd immunity one way or the other through exposure or immunization. It's going to cause a lot of fluctuations in terms of jobs and people and places. Not more than it has been doing, though. Not more than it has been doing. So January, February, March, April, May, June. This is where I'd probably see the most restriction. Actually, out of the cards, I think 2022 is going to pretty much mark the end of coronavirus being the main topic. You know, so a solid 3 years of it. I definitely, when I remember first talking about it, I predicted 2 solid years and maybe even longer of it as a main topic. So 8 of Swords is really restriction, staying in place, boredom. And the way I look at it in readings is clearing up your plate. You have some things that are boring and you don't really want to do. Your taxes, clean up your desk, little projects around your house, just odds and ends that you need to take care of. They're not exciting, they're not interesting. But the feeling about 8 of Swords is there's new things to start. So if you get your plate cleared off a little bit more, you have this freshness and this expectation and an interest about the new. So I tell people, don't focus on it so much as boredom. Make a list and get done with some of the things you really just that are holding you back or in your way. Stay put. It may be a difficult time for travel, late spring, early summer, and it's still going to be a political divisive issue, you know. I don't know what our vaccination rate is in the U.S. right now. I think it's about 60% of adults. I think it's probably going to stay about like that. I think people have decided yay or nay on vaccination, and most people that want to do it have done it already, and most people that probably aren't going to do it. That's a whole nother subject. The third card, and January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, the Emperor. Who is the Emperor? It is the male authority figures, and they certainly can be women. But I do read this card a lot as the old white men and the established authority figures, the fathers, the bosses, the husbands, and their rule. It's kingship. It's being lord of the land. I think that a lot of strong political things will occur in the third quarter of 2022. I think that politics are going to become very strong, and we're going to have a lot of fights over particular seats that have been ruled by a long-standing either Democrat or Republican. I think those are going to become more conservative. I think there'll be more Republicans winning local elections, and I think that they will be digging in and concretizing their power as much as possible. In your own life, take time in the major arcana, if you have a tarot deck and you have time to work on it, being each major card for a week so that you can really live and feel what the message is about the archetype in these cards. The Emperor is the king. He is the almighty ruler. He is the son of God. Often, even like the pharaohs in pharaonic Egypt, the king was the representative of God on earth. So I think there's going to be a lot of structure. I think there's going to be a lot of land grabbing. I think that the powers that be are going to be exerting themselves very strongly in the third quarter. And who has power is going to be the big topic. By the end of the year, October, November, December, it is time to start the new. It's the 0 card. People, I think in early 1900s, we might have really read the Fool as a person who was foolish. But most of us today, I think, as readers, look at this as starting something new. Traveling, moving, starting a new relationship, starting a new job. But it's a 0 card, and the white sun is a really important image in this card. The person is not looking at where they're going. They're about to step off this precipice. The white sun is really a symbol for the solar logos, which is not the living physical life force. It's the intellectual life force that creates our solar system from an intellectual way. So I think the Fool card has a lot to do with reframing our understanding of the world, changing our mind, and going into kind of a new lifestyle. It's nice to see after the Emperor with a lot of locking down and power structures and the old ways staying in place. But the Fool really talks about the new ways coming in. And this is going to tell us that by the end of 2022, we have a lot more freedom to travel. Many of us are starting new lifestyles and moving, relocating, starting new jobs. And I think a lot of this has to do with intellectual work. What do we believe in? What do we believe about the government, the powers that be? What do we believe about Godhead and the structure of reality? What is the source? Where does it come from? And because of that, and because there's been so much change and movement of power and money in the last few years, I think a lot of us are going to dig in stronger and say, I'm right, my way is right, and I know what's good, and I'm going to keep doing it. And many people are going to reassess and change their views and begin to live in a new way. So I like that. I would say in 2022, make your travel plans in the second half of the year pretty safely. Think about your possessions, your money, where it is, what you own, what you believe in, and what you want to keep in stock. And think about sovereignty over yourself. Not even necessarily listening to what other people tell you to do, but begin to think for yourself and say, who am I? What do I believe in? What do I want to create in this lifetime? Okay? Coronavirus. It's going to be strong through the first 9 months of the year. It will continue to spread. We are reaching herd immunity by the end of 2022, and a lot of people have died, and a lot of people are immune. I think it works according to the laws of nature, just as many illnesses do. I mean, as many viruses do. It's not an anomaly. It's just how things work. All right, financially, in 2022, and I'm still looking at the most important advice for people about your money. Do you really own your own money? One of my gripes all along has been, I've always been a homeowner and owned more than one piece of property, more than one house. I have to pay property taxes forever on what I own. So even though I've worked so hard and paid off the loans on my property, I have to pay substantial property tax a year. Just on this house in New Orleans, it's $3,600 a year, which is $300 a month of taxes. And if I don't pay them, the government takes my property away from me. So really, when you're looking at what do you own, what do you really own? Do you own your body? Well, maybe not. Do you own your mind? Do you own your soul? Where are your values? What are you doing with your values and your money? All right, what's the advice? What's going to happen in the U.S. in 2022 financially? Go above our brains, into the infinite field, finding true and accurate facts and information. Bring that down to us, onto the table, into the reading. The universe is infinite. It contains all information. We're seeking truth and finding it now in ways we understand comfortably and easily for the viewers. Finances in the U.S. in 2022. Okay, really interesting connections here. Not liking my hair today. Got it clipped up because it's hot. Page of Cups, back to young people. New spiritual values, emotional, psychological work. Young people having children. I do think that's going to slow down. I don't think we can afford it. Even though they're changing the abortion rules, and I don't know whether birth control is harder or easier to get in the U.S. I'm too old for that, so I don't really think about it. But the children, the young people, are going to be working earlier. We're going to have less children. And we're going to have a focus more on our inner qualities as opposed to how much money we have. And I think people will look to spiritual concerns more and more. I've been saying this for years. The new age is growing. It's not diminishing. The interest in the occult, in the spiritual world, in types of religions is just really growing fast. And I think more and more people are sort of waking up to the idea that we don't really know everything and we're interested to find out more. So baby investments, water, it's very fluid. Eight of Swords, the economy is probably not going to grow a whole lot in 2022. There does seem to be a lot of delays and stagnancy in terms of moving things around. Workforce is diminished, and it doesn't look like a lot of growth inside our country. I also want to say this, I do think in the next 5 or 7 years, the dollar won't be the main denominator of values of money. It probably really will be the yen. And as much as people argue about China and Russia, who is our major foe, and are either of them our ally, we lost a long time ago. We're on the way down. The U.S. is on the way down as a major power, and that's okay. We've been powerful for a long time. We know that change is truth, and ultimately things are going to ebb and flow and go up and down. Most of us in our lifetime, in the 80 or so years that we're living, also, by the way, life expectancy is decreasing. We don't notice it as much, but if you could be more of a historian and look at it over 200 to 300 years, you could see the change. So stagnancy financially in the economic growth of the United States, but the gains we've made are going to hold. Judgment, third quarter, really big decisions. This is probably going to be the federal banking. Interest rates going to go up. Maybe they'll get rid of the IRS. God, I do magic for that. Just get rid of the IRS. They're just a horrible creation in the first place. Tax us in other ways. Income tax is silly. Last card, King of Wands. A lot of entrepreneurial activity. A lot of investment coming into the U.S. real estate market from other countries. In the U.S., hedge funds, 401ks, etc., can now buy like rental real estate as part of their portfolio. Doesn't just have to be stock market, bonds, or money market. So there's going to be a lot of people coming and going in and out of the U.S. International business, trade, and entrepreneurs, even younger, less wealthy people are going to come here. Kind of tremendous immigrants all year long. That's not going to ebb. The flow is going to be strong. People seeking just a little bit more safety and sanity, and a lot of movement of personal way we make a living. The money, I think, will all basically be the same. We're printing a lot of it, and we're borrowing a tremendous amount right now to pay for the coronavirus event. Trillions in spending, government spending. I'm sad to say that probably 50% of that money is going to be trickling into the hands of the wealthy instead of going into infrastructure or the population. And people are going to start to take that in their own hands and make money under the table. They're not going to report it. They're going to do a lot more cash activity, and the electronic world where we've all kind of come to rely on our debit cards and paying everything online, I think there's going to be a lot more cash activity. But, you know, a lot of room for new. If you have a lot of energy and you are ambitious, start some new ways of making money and you'll do really well. Think about what you really love doing and put your energy into that. We don't have much control over the economy anyway. It's a puppet show. Okay, what else do I need to ask about? The economy, coronavirus, politics. Ooh, nah. I have so much. Here's what I really think, based on my psychic view. Every country has politicians and government and they tell us that they run the government according to whatever the system is, democracy or oligarchy, whatever it is, kingship, military rule. There's all kinds of types of government on the planet today. And that they're doing it so that that country has power, has sovereignty, and the people are, you know, striving to be good on the planet, striving to be strong on the planet. That's the show. They tell us this is what the theater looks like. But in truth, the wealthy, which are international people and hold more than one citizenship in more than one country, they have passports full of visas. They are a handful of people that own the theater and they run the show, and they set up circumstances between countries that look very significant, you know, like wars and skirmishes and naval power and borders and resources. They rule the internal structure of the have and the have-nots, and they are doing one thing: promoting the few. Promoting and sustaining and making wealthy the few, while they convince the many that our voting and actions on the ground are the real power, that our governments and the people are working things out according to our beliefs. I don't think so. You know, go back and read Plato's The Allegory of the Cave, where people are watching shadows on a wall and assuming that that's reality, as opposed to going outside of the cave and looking at the sunlight and seeing the activities and saying that is just the shadow cast of the actual activities. And we don't know we're in a cave. We really don't. And so politics is that. Politics and government is that. And I have said for a long time, and I was raised by anarchists, that free thinking, independent, you know, do your life the way you want to and do what you love is really all you've got. Don't worry about politics too much. Of course, morality, I was raised in a good family who believed in compassion, kindness, fairness, good manners, and helping. That was just a basic good idea. And I still live by that. You know, I strive to be compassionate and kind and helpful, not too bent out of shape about politics and religion and philosophies. I mean, they do bother me because there's a lot of dumb people on the planet, just dumb. They drive me nuts. But if a person is working and enjoying what they're doing and minding their own business and living according to their worldview without harming others, I think that's about the best you can do. So let's just take a quick look. Politics in the United States in 2022. I'm still saying my mantra, but I do it silently, end up doing it silently half the time, because in the 8 to 9 hours a day I work, I talk the whole time and I wear my voice out. So, you know, wow. Okay, I shuffle a lot. I really do, for one major reason: to make sure this 78 deck of cards has room to move and tell me what it wants to tell me. It's not really the deck that's talking to me. I say that it is the one. This is just the tool I use. King of Wands. It's going to be a lot of new people entering politics. There's going to be a lot of people of color. There's going to be a lot of women. Wow. And the party isn't going to matter as much as what that person does on the ground. A lot more grassroots collective work, a lot more community built efforts. And the politicians, this is so true in 2022. This is just what I download and want to say to you. That is a show, a theater that is going on. What's really happening in the world and on the ground is people are making their way in their lives, in their community, with their fellow people, working and living. And that is really the truth. Government is not the truth. Government is a theater. So I love this entrepreneurial idea. People are going to vote yes or no. They're going to decide on the people they like, and they're going to go right back to doing whatever they're doing that works for them. Power grabs. Those who have power and believe in politics and want to run for office because they want to help the population, there's about 40% of the people that are doing that. They're going to keep their power. A lot of power grabs are going to be happening. And I do think, I said this already, that at this point now, the Republican areas are going to stay Republican, the Democratic voting areas are going to stay Democratic, and honestly, probably a little bit more shifting towards the Republican. Knight of Cups. Oh, the government's going to offer to help us. They're probably going to give out. God, we just saw it. We had Hurricane Ida in not on top of New Orleans, but nearby. And just in general, we've got a lot of weather things, the fires, the hurricanes, the tornadoes. I still am predicting a lot of earthquakes for the West Coast. And they're like, oh, we're going to get there right away and help you out. Yeah, a week later, no water. Oh, God, 10 days in my neighborhood with no electricity. Okay, I don't die without electricity. I got it. I can figure out what to do. I got my little gas burner and, can live. I can camp. So if I can camp, I'm okay. But it's all mouths full of words. They aren't really going to do much for us. And the Empress, interesting too, she's the wife of the Emperor. She's the women. She's Mother Earth. To be honest, what's going to be happening environmentally is probably going to be the #1 story in the world for the next 100 years. And governments don't have shit to do with it. They're going to tell you that they do, but it's already a curve of change. And I don't think it's all man-made. I think in the solar system, solar flares, winds throughout the solar system, the gravitational pull of the planets and moons and all that, they're in motion. We're definitely going to have different circumstances on the planet always. We're lucky if we have 1,000 years that are kind of similar. The last ice age was only 12,500 years ago. So, and we've got things going on. We've got global warming, but we've got solar dimming. The more we pollute, the harder it is for sun to get here. If we have a super volcano blow and put all that particle matter in the atmosphere, it's what killed the dinosaurs probably. Meteors hit and they did the same thing. But the earth is the truth. The environment is the truth. It's really hard to get away from that. Yes, a few people will go live in subterranean worlds where they make their own oxygen and their own water. The few, okay, the wealthy, that's what they're doing so that they can stay in power over what? A rock of death. Okay. A lot of women are going to run for office. And I have seen the most beautiful women in my readings that are really getting involved in politics from a community level, grassroots. They believe in something. They start in social work, education, medicine, whatever, and they just keep getting more voice and they keep making a difference. And I think that's really what's going to be going on in politics, not so much the blah, blah, blah at the White House and the Congress and the Senate. Still be a lot of blah, blah, blah. More people of color coming in. Wow. Okay. Last message. I'm at 43 minutes. People get tired of watching me, and we can do things again. We can look at things month by month. People can comment on this and ask me about questions in a particular area of life, a particular kind of career world, a region, a state that you'd like to know more about. A lot of people are going to be moving and relocating because of environmental issues and the flow of money, school districts, and comfort and ease of living. Like, all my life, California's been like the place to go. I mean, that's like the golden state. It isn't anymore. Everybody's trying to figure out where's the next California? I still am a fan of the South. I think the South has been traditionally behind the curve intellectually and otherwise in the U.S. There's a lot of really beautiful land in the South, and there's a lot of room for expansion. And I think that we're going to see a lot of activity in the South. Okay, final message from Spirit. After all we've sort of talked about today, what is the message to the individual person about their lives on the ground? Not the message, but what should we be doing? What should we be doing to make 2022 a great year for us, a meaningful year for us, so that we have more peace, more internal happiness, more ease of living in our community, enjoying the work we do, and staying well. What should we do? I'm going to put down 3 cards for this. When I'm looking at actions, I reduce the cards a little bit. I think 3 is plenty. Go above our brains into the infinite field, finding true and accurate facts and information. Bring that down to us, onto the table, into the reading. The universe is infinite. It contains all information. We're seeking truth and finding it now in ways we understand comfortably and easily for the viewers. What should we do in 2022? Unbelievable. King of Wands. Well, it's a fire card, okay? There's going to be a lot of fires. And that's going to be all kinds, political, environmental, otherwise. Be more independent. Become more self-employed. Think about the things you really love doing and just do it and charge people money for it. Make your own money. Be in control of your own money, you know, get paid and decide what you're going to pay to the IRS instead of the other way around where they take it out of your check and that's it. We pay a lot of taxes: sales tax, property tax, gas tax, hotel tax. Really, there's taxes being collected all around the world and in every way possible. And what is done with the money? What is done with the money? We can't really decide. We vote, and that basically decides how much money we want to go into education, healthcare, military, etc., roads. 50% of it doesn't go to anything except the pockets of those that are in control of the money. So really, make your own way. Buy gemstones and metals. Learn new skills. 9 of Swords. This is a card I use for existential angst, worry at night, sleeplessness. I think it has a lot to do with electromagnetic waves. We are bombarded in ways that we've never have been before, humans on the planet, with 5G, with electricity, sonar, not sonar, that's not the right word, satellite, internet. It's slightly, and I'm not afraid of it all, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to that. I basically believe in a natural lifestyle if you can live it, you know, which doesn't necessarily just mean living in the country, because that may not be any better because of farm pollution, which is strong, very strong. People that live near agricultural land have got a lot of chemical influence in their lives. They do. This is being alone up at night and feeling that no one cares about you, nobody has your back, that you don't have a protector or a caregiver, that you're facing the dark on your own. It is a card, I believe, of a lot of physical stresses, arthritis, autoimmune issues, cancers. We're certainly becoming more ill because of the environment we live in and how many toxins and things we are exposing ourselves to. Yes, are we evolving to deal with those things? We are. Maybe getting more stronger in terms of managing how many chemicals are coming into our body every day. And over the long haul, that may work itself out pretty well. But for an individual lifespan, it's hard. So reach out for community in new ways. Meet your neighbors. Stay connected to your friends. Write letters. Go to the local farmers markets and community activity events where you can see the people that live near you and at least know them and say hello to them and talk about what you're interested in. Try not to stay super isolated, especially with how much social media and things we can just watch on our phone. Put it down. Go out and talk to people. Do some really new fun activities outside. Move your body around. And everyone should be learning how to create a little bit stronger aura and their chakras a little bit stronger and the energy fields around our body. That's really our tool with our immune system also, to keep unwanted influence out psychically and physically. So I think it'd be a good idea for everyone to kind of give it some thought about creating a nice energy shield around yourself so that you have more control over the internal experience. The Lovers, and this is really interesting. This is a person typically who has no lover and doesn't really have one in sight. They sleep alone, they live alone. The answer to this is get some dogs and sleep with dogs. I mean, everyone's doing it these days. So many people are using their animal friends instead of humans. I love that idea. My partner and I have 3 dogs. We adore our dogs, and they are part of our family. We love them. Adam and Eve in the garden. The angel is above. They're nude. They are showing who they really are. They are unadulterated, uncovered, transparent communication. And it's really the card in the deck for sexuality, for having a lover. So whatever you do that you love and that has physical component, hugging your friends, playing with your dog or cat, being with your lover, try to seek out companionship, try to seek out touch, live in the Garden of Eden, make your home a Garden of Eden, get back to basics, go nude inside your house, go nude outside a little bit if you can, and get sun directly onto your body, get the air directly onto your body. Be okay with your body. We're just animals, we don't look at cows all day long and say, oh, look at that one's big spot on the side, or it's one leg is a little bit thicker than the other leg. We're just like, it's a cow. Humans are the same. We really have the same structure. So quit anthropomorphizing everything and quit individualizing every little detail about yourself. Be more free, be more natural. Think about what would be the Garden of Eden. Think about what you love and who you love, and spend your time on that. I think in general, this message tells us that there's no entity there to really help us or save us, government or God. We make our own lives every day based on our internal energy field, our feelings and our thinking, and our response to the world around us. We do have control over our being more than people think. And we can manage that better if we'll put our mind on it, so that no matter what happens around us, we are still peaceful on the inside. So that's my messages today for my viewers. And please write and put some comments about things you'd like me to talk about or look at. And I promise I will get things done in 2022. All right? Blessings. Bye.